All right. G'day, everyone. This is Rangadad. Not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Yeah, interesting weekend for Bitcoin. I actually ended up selling a good chunk of my position in my super fund through one of the ETFs on Friday, which turned out to be a reasonable move. Basically, it doesn't owe me anything now. I just took enough profit to get back my principal that I put in. I'll let the rest ride. I'll probably get back into it if we see a pullback into about 91 into this high volume area. Then I'll potentially get back into it. It just depends what everything else is looking like at that time. 2 down days in a row, not huge volume at all, which Bitcoin loves to do that on the weekends, as you can see. But there is a chance that we have something similar to this as well. So we have a couple of down days over the weekend, and then the week is positive. There are a few, I guess, ways of looking at that. A retest of this value area high would be good. So that's around 95k, and 95k has been a pretty critical level for a while. We just bring up, we go back, we need to go back a little way. Yeah, it doesn't look as critical when you go back 2 weeks, but when you look at it on this, yeah, actually, yeah, no, it's probably more around that 94k. So, the value area high is just looking at, like this one here is just looking at since the breakout. And it is the 40% value area, just like we used pretty successfully back in that big range we had. So, yeah, a sweep into 94 or so, even down into 93 to pick up this 13 moving average here. I think that's what that is. Yeah. That would kind of make a bit of sense. Just want to see where the 5 moving average is sitting at the moment. Yeah, interesting. So we haven't actually closed below the 5 moving average since the start of this breakout. If we do close below that 5, then chances are we do get a bit more, at least sideways, if not pullback. Closure of the 5 EMA below the 13 EMA, that's potentially going to lead to a lot more downside. So yeah, just something to keep on your radar there, the 5 moving average. Bullish smart money indicator is still high. Stochastic momentum has crossed the signal under the downside. We are still very much in the bullish control zone though, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think if we look at BTC longs, they are still dropping. They haven't dropped as much in the last day as what they have the last couple, so there may still be a little bit more left in this. Like we didn't get a big flush like we did on that initial spike up before we ground up and to the right. So yeah, it's there's no major sell-off. So there's a lot of people in longs here that are still in longs expecting this to go higher. So I don't think this is really a time to panic. I think it is just a pullback, a little bit of a regression back into the 5 EMA at this stage. No major signals on this. That was a pretty decent sell signal, I guess. It does look like it's trying to actually base here. I'll get into that in a second. So the targets here are 91 roughly, just to retest this resistance level here. But the value area high is also pretty well that 5 EMA. So if we do come down a little bit more, expect it to sweep into that 95 region, potentially down into 94 on a daily wick. But if we close back above that 5 EMA on a sweep like that, I would actually consider that fairly bullish. It's this time here where the smaller timeframes are going to really give you the indication of where things are going. But in general, we'll have a look at the stocks in a second. If BBWP does spike back up, then I would expect it to go back up into the extreme zone. And if that happens, I'd be expecting somewhere up around the 110K mark, to be honest. 105, 110K Bitcoin. At which point I'd say we'd be pretty exhausted on this move, but we'll see how we go. So CoinAnk, I'll just cover off CoinAnk. We've still got this massive order block there. The shorts are really following it too. So the sellers are really coming down quite quickly with price from here. So we may have found a decent top, but the market makers also sweeping up and down here and making a fair bit of money in both directions. So there's a lot of short liquidations above us. Not so many long and I think this is a fairly short time frame. Probably the daily, I'd say. So yeah, don't be surprised if we chop around a bit, but we are making lower highs and lower lows. So just be careful. We are technically in a downtrend on the 15-minute and probably even the 1 hour, to be honest. Had a quick look at the volume leaders data. So Coinel, which is the 2x Coinbase ETF, 2x long, that looks like someone taking profit. Now, even though I had it set to the 10 largest trades, the volume range and the dollar range only picked up these two trades for like the last week last month, actually. What I have to go to? I think I went out to a year to pick up these extra ones. So to me, that's probably someone taking profit. They probably accumulated in here, and that would make sense for that to be a take profit. Typically, you'd like to see a big signal down in here as well, but if that's a buy order, then I would think it's probably a bit of FOMO, but yeah, two massive trades right at the bottom of this dip is it's a hard one to read. But if we go and look at Coinbase itself, it's been getting quite a few trades in the top 100 across the top of this this peak over the last week. So obviously these will probably take profits. These might be buys, but yeah, again, hard one to kind of read on that. I don't think Coinbase has given us a great edge on that. IBIT wouldn't surprise me if these would take profits either. There's no real They got pretty big orders before the spike up. They have been buying them at the lows, though. Typically, you don't see that with these big guys. They're typically not like that. There is typically a buy just after a run down. They're like, okay, we're happy with that price, buy, and then you get the price move away. So that to me does actually look like a buy. So there might be some reaccumulation here, expecting another pump up. Be interesting to see how it goes tonight on the US market. Oops, XLY. Just having a look. So XLY, that's probably a take profit there. XLK, again, probably some profit taking up here. So that's technology sector. Suggests me we may be in for a little pullback on the markets, but they're not huge either. They're relatively small sort of take profits, I think. Not seeing any massive trades, like none of them are coming up in the top 100. That I wouldn't be surprised if that's a take profit though. So biotech finally had a bit of a run up this week. It was destroyed the week before, I think, on the Kennedy news of the position he was going to take. Communication services, yeah, it's pretty flat. Energy's been an interesting one. Massive buy down here. That's probably take profit. But at the same time, we'll look at oil in a second. Oil might be ready to run. So it wouldn't surprise me if these were buyers either. Probably a couple of take profits on this order, but probably some buyers as well. Financials, yeah, still looking okay. That there is probably a take profit. So industrials, after such a big run up like that, someone's nailed the high, I reckon. XLP, pretty similar. Buys in here. That's probably a take profit, but again, kind of hard to read. They're not massive orders. These would probably take profits. So utilities might struggle this week. Healthcare, nothing major on that. Yeah, no great read on these. Again, volume leaders is more for sort of confluence than anything. Sometimes you can get a pretty good indication of what might be happening, but not a great read on anything there, unfortunately. Just going to have a look at liquidation map. So we've now got more shorts than longs on the, like in the near price range on the 1 day. On the 7 day, we're still heavy on the longs. So again, a sweep further down wouldn't surprise me, but whether we just sort of bounce around, come back up, take some of these shorts, particularly the 100x leverage type shorts, and then sweep back down, that would kind of make sense. I think that 95k level is a pretty decent level. But as you can see, if we come down to 91 or around 91, probably even a little bit lower, then it's going to very much even up these charts. Yeah, I think the 30-day will still be pretty heavy to the long side. Yeah, it's getting more even though. All right, so let's go back to the charts. We'll have a quick look what happened over the weekend with NASDAQ. Let's go with this one. So, I mean, I was kind of hoping for a bit more strength in this. It actually, to me, this is still a little bearish. The accumulation distribution graph is still going up as of Friday. That is relatively bullish. It's certainly not bearish, but it's whether the Nasdaq can kind of switch this momentum to the upside. BBWP is dropping as well, so it's kind of, it really does seem like a grind up. There is a lot of wicks to the downside here, so it suggests that there is still buying interest there. So it looks like it wants to keep going up. We have pretty well recovered this vector candle in here though too, so this is kind of poised to go in either direction. Overall, I would say it's a little bit bearish, but it's very much got signals in both directions at the moment. The equal weight though is a little bit different a story. So the equal weight closed this gap. It's closed this gap. It looks like it wants to push to a new all-time high. And that is quite bullish. That's probably flipping me to be more bullish on the markets. That's definitely a more bullish sign. Do the same with SPY. It's the same sort of story on SPY, to be honest. Pretty well recovered this candle here, though. That's probably looking more bullish than the NAS. And it has actually closed a new all-time high on the equal weight. So that's pretty bullish. We may get a bit of a pullback in to just pick this vector candle up, but it has left a gap and a vector candle behind as well. So I'm expecting probably this last week of November, we probably do get one last pump, and then first week or two of December is actually relatively down. That's kind of seasonality wise, that would make sense, but it just seems like the market wants to correct. But it could happen earlier. So just, yeah, I wouldn't be buying here and holding for a long time, put it that way. IWM, pretty solid moves. Kind of want this to break to a new high, but again, I don't know that it wants to do that. We are going to struggle. That was the all-time high there. If we break that level, IWM's probably going to go on a pretty good run. Marker on that. But yeah, I mean, definitely a more bullish chart than not. Just like to see BBWP increasing at the same time. And these markets are kind of going to be pretty exhausted after this big run up too, so expect it to be pretty choppy. But I mean, some pretty bullish days on a couple of these. XLI is still pretty bullish, but again, we saw a decent sell at the top of the industrials volume leaders, but momentum switching to the upside. It's just the BBWP. You'd like to see that switch back to the upside as well. So it's like it's a fairly weak looking market, but it looks like it does want to still grind up a little. Very low BBWP on RSPD, so the equal weight XLY XLP. Still pretty bullish though. Like that's not suggesting overall weakness in the economy yet. KRE closing above the previous highs as well. ITB, so yeah. Home construction, finding a bit of a base here, which is good. We don't want home construction to really make a new low here. As it is, it's already signaling that there might be some underlying issues in the economy that could trigger something reasonably soon. But if we break above here and potentially even like a clear above 122.30, then that would look pretty good for the market. XHB, so that is more bullish. Looking to recover this vector here. What you kind of want to see on home builders is we want to see a decent W pattern here, come back into that level, and then shoot to the upside. And it might even pull pretty well all the way up into this resistance level before it actually pulls back into here. It's going to be the reaction. If it does hit there and pull back, it's going to be the reaction at this point here, about that one, what's that, 120-ish. That will be critical. But yeah, if we see this break, sort of this downtrend that it's in at the moment, then that would make me a bit more bullish across the board. DJI gold, don't think it's in any huge danger yet. DJT gold's the one that's kind of flat and not really doing much, but at the same time, DJT is quite bullish. It's just gold is still pretty bullish as well. The VIX has come down on Friday. The skew, what's the skew? The skew's bullish. So yeah, generally, it's actually looking pretty bullish on the markets. DAX. Yeah, DAX doesn't look like it wants to play out the head and shoulders that look like we're forming. This is back. This is now into our box, which had for a while in there. Not a bad buying spot, but it looks, that's a pretty bearish candle, closing below these ones in here. It looks like it wants to come into this 200 level, 200 EMA, potentially even all the way to the 786. So I think whilst there was some nibbles at the 618 level, I think there's probably people waiting for it to come in a bit deeper before they buy in. If they buy in, this could have been just a massive sugar rush on the whole news of the stimulus package. Might not eventuate to anything. UK 100's actually looking strong. That's different. Back into this range here, so I don't expect it to really break out to the high here. I don't think, from what I'm hearing, the UK economy isn't that good yet, but that's a pretty solid reaction to something that's going on in the markets. What do we have? Retail sales. Retail sales are down more than we expected. Let's pump the market. All right. Just remember, markets can stay rational longer than you can stay solvent. Yeah, I mean, it's back into this range. If we break above this level here, then I would expect the UK market to go on a pretty decent run. But yeah, for the time being, there's no real trade in that. Same with the Japanese market, to be honest. It's back in this range it was in before they had all the rate increase and the carry trade unwind, all that sort of stuff. It's very flat. PLT. I did actually take another nibble. So some of the Bitcoin that I sold in my super fund, I've actually put back into this. It's around the price. I think I bought into these back over here somewhere. I did buy in at slightly above my initial buying price, but I think this is probably going to turn around relatively soon. High yield. Oh, sorry. Why do I think that? It's just momentum's making higher highs, um, higher lows. Sorry. So there's a lot of bullish divergence in this chart. High yield. Yeah, high yield's holding up. It's not really giving us a clear indication like skew might be, but the fact that it's fairly flat and skews pushing to the upside, it's looking generally bullish. This bond indicator's kind of, yeah, it's flat. Again, it's just some of these indicators are suggesting that it's not. The market's not looking for any massive gains in the short term, but they're not really signaling anything major to the downside either. So I'll be watching this reasonably carefully though, because I am expecting a bit of a pullback in the markets either towards the end of this week or the following week. Interesting, we got hidden bullish divergence on this though. So lower lows on the stochastic momentum, but a higher low at this stage on the actual chart. So yeah, similar to what we had here, really. You got a lower low and a higher low on the chart. You would expect that to turn to the upside. 2-year, 10-year looks like it wants to uninvert. That wouldn't be good, really. But yeah, the 2 years getting a lot of bids. Sorry, the yields are going up, so people are selling off treasuries still. But how far are they going to go? Maybe to 4.5%. There's a fair bit of price action in here at around the 4.5%. So yeah, this could run. Like, don't get me wrong, the bonds market hasn't liked something that's gone on here. Did watch a video. Eurodollar University talks about this quite often. He's very much just a doomsdayer, but he does do a pretty good analysis of global liquidity markets. So there is some useful content in there. Just don't think the whole economy is going to crash after you watch his videos. I mean, it will at some stage, but he doesn't put timelines on it. So yeah, 10-year running up. Still, yeah, I'm expecting this to roll over pretty soon. We've actually got bearish divergence, quite a lot of it. On the momentum, I think we've got the same thing on, yeah, same thing on the 2-year. As a chart, though, that you would actually expect this to break up a little bit more, which would invert the yield curve. I reckon that is looking like the yield curve will invert again, which people will probably think, oh, it's nothing to worry about. It was inverted for like a year or so. When was that? 22, fucking hell. That was inverted for over 2 years. So people will look at that and say, it doesn't matter, it's broken indicator. But typically this does actually invert again before, well, not typically, but it has happened in the past where it's inverted. And then the market shits itself pretty bad. So it just means we're getting closer. And Yeah, some of these indicators are suggesting we might be closer than end of 2025 for the big crash. Copper still struggling. It actually looks like it wants to go lower. There is some hidden bullish divergence, but on a downtrend like this, that's kind of no, that's not hidden bullish divergence at all. There is no divergence there. Don't worry. Sorry, lower lows on price action, lower lows on stochastic momentum. What you kind of want to see is if this turns around and it moves up and you actually put in a higher low here, that would be bullish. But at this stage, that actually looks like it wants to come further down, which isn't a great sign for the economy overall. Gold is ripping to the upside. So I think I bought back into gold with some of that Bitcoin as well. Interesting, it cleared this level and closed above this previous level here as well. That looks like gold wants 3K. My way of looking at that. Yeah, I mean, that's super bullish. It's leaving a lot of vectors behind, which we don't necessarily like, but that's pretty bullish. Probably in the short term, we might see it pull back into this level and then go. So back into the bottom of these two candles here. But yeah, gold's looking really strong still. Silver's not going with it though at the moment, which is a little bit strange. I mean, it doesn't have to, but typically you would expect it to, just because it is so suppressed against gold. Historically, it's pretty well as low as it's been compared to gold. US oil, again, it's just grinding up. I do expect this to make a new high here. So it kind of looks like we're bottomed. Don't think that's a volume indicator thing. It's 0, so don't think that's a level that I'm looking at. But there is a definite level in here, probably, to be honest with you, if we close below about 66, I'd actually expect some fireworks to the downside, which again wouldn't be great as an outlook for the overall economy. Dixie, that's pretty strong. Closure above that level is pretty freaking strong. Yeah, wow. I mean, this could be a gigantic Wyckoff distribution too, or accumulation. That's interesting. I mean, if Dixie breaks too high to the upside, it's going to potentially crush a lot of economies. Probably going to push people away from the US dollar as well. There is some reasons why that I've heard. Yes, China's selling bonds, but they're always selling and buying bonds in the volumes that they're doing it at the moment. It's more liquidity from their side of things. It's not necessarily because they hate the US or anything like that. It's just that sort of narrative is kind of stupid. Interestingly, there was a pretty big spike in the bonds into Cayman Islands, which has taken up a lot of them. Don't know how to read that. It's kind of weird, but that seems to be where a lot of them are going. So Japan's selling theirs as well at a decent clip. But probably the scarier thing is China's issuing bonds to the Middle East, so Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. And they're giving a higher premium on them than the US bonds. So that's probably what's driving some of these overall moves in bonds and stuff like that. There's definitely an attempt to really shift power at the moment, but at this stage, it's still early days, I would say. Global liquidity is still kind of grinding higher. It's not really looking to break out or anything, but it's still elevated. Percentage of stocks above 15 moving average is increasing. Mag 7 still pretty flat. There is quite a bit of movement in some of these. So Tesla claimed a new local high as well. That is probably going to go on another run. Looking at that, could just be a short squeeze, but that's a pretty bullish chart. Hard to go against that for Tesla. Nvidia's still really struggling around this trend line, but if the market does generally go up, which the signs are sort of balanced towards more upside, then you would kind of expect Nvidia to bounce off this level. Google, Google's looking terrible on the news of having to be split up and stuff like that, which I don't think it'll actually happen the way people are saying. So kind of you're looking for a bounce around the 200 EMA here, around 163 on Google. ARK still in the range. Again, that suggests there's not a lot wrong with the economy at the moment. This is a small cap, hyper growth type fund. They tend to go better when the market's better. Apple eking its way up. It has cleared, I'd consider this cleared the moving averages and probably going to head up a bit more. Probably at least into, what's that, around 241 would be an expectation on Apple. Amazon, I'd probably be expecting Amazon to bounce around here as well. Momentum's getting pretty low. Like if the market in general turns around, Amazon will probably go with it. But again, probably, I don't know, it's a tricky one because I do expect a bigger market correction in the next couple of weeks. So I'd kind of like to see these run up before we get that correction, to be honest, because if we start breaking in below these trend lines, then it's not a great look. Just looking for a longer term bottom trend on this. Yeah, I mean, Amazon's got an interesting trend coming through here. Whoops. Tool. You pretty well draw that as your trend. So, I mean, realistically, on a pullback, that's probably the target for Amazon is somewhere on this trend line in the next couple of weeks. But again, why is this pulling back so hard? What's going on in the market that people don't like this? The earnings were pretty good, big surprise. Yeah, something funny going on at the moment. Actually, just on Meta, probably similar. Meta's got a decent trend line on the bottom side there as well. The Meta's got a bit of support below if it does break into that. AMD, yeah. Airbnb looks like it wants to push higher. So again, really getting some mixed signals on the overall economy. Stellantis still holding this bottom. Geez, it looks like it wants to break down though. Ford's holding up okay though. If we do break this 200 here, then it's probably going to go on a pretty big run and close this gap, which again, that would suggest the market's a little bit better condition than what it looks like at the moment. So Bitcoin versus the versus the stable coins. Has stable coins have started to take back some of the dollar value. It's the first real V-shaped sort of bottom we've had so far. So yeah, suggesting there's probably going to be a bit of weakness in Bitcoin. At least a little bit. I'd probably expect it to come back up and retest that level there. So yeah, maybe a couple of days down on Bitcoin. ETH BTC longs has started to take some profits. So I think we'll find that Ethereum is running better than Bitcoin, and it has been over the weekend, but still a down day today. It's struggling to get through this volume area here. So highest traded level, it needs to push through that. If we can get through 35.66 on Ethereum on a daily close above that, I would expect it to run pretty good, because this here is a trend line coming through there as well. So to me, that's the critical level for Ethereum, a closure above that trend, and it'll go pretty well, I reckon. We got the FOMC going to piss us off this week. Personal income and personal spending. Core PCE will be an interesting one. Durable goods. So a bit of news coming out this week that might move the market a bit. It might be flat the first couple of days. So CME closed quite high as well. If we do open CME at around these levels, was CME open already? When does it open? No, it's not open yet. CME actually looks on the shorter time frames like it's poised to go on a run to the upside. That's interesting, because that's I mean, if this flips to the downside, that's pretty that's a pretty crazy flip if it does. But it'll run hard because that BBWP is low. It's one to be a bit careful of. See, that's on the hourly, it's definitely in the bullish posturing. Interesting. So the fact that, sorry, go back to the daily. Yeah, the fact that Bitcoin has dropped so hard compared to CME. So CME is up around the mid 99s. It's up around this level. When CME opens, if we gap down, it could suggest we're just going to pull back into these levels that we mentioned before. So the 91 and the 95 as targets, and then potentially rip back to the upside to hit that 100K mark and close that gap. Just do Sol quickly. I need to start doing some work. 240. Not a bad pullback area for Sol, actually. Yeah, BBWP is still increasing. Momentum's just ticked to the downside, but it's looking okay. A lot of the alts haven't really run as much as I thought they would, to be honest. Like a Mooding. Should trade these things on the daily. Pepe. Yeah, see, also been going sideways for a bit. They had a lot of them had a good run in that first leg up on Bitcoin, but since Bitcoin's sort of been grinding up and to the right, they haven't really done much. A lot of them. Oh, Dot had a run the last couple of days. Hey, that's interesting. Link had a bit of a run. I would expect Link to go pretty well. There's a lot of big players in Link. XRP. Wow. If you had told me that XRP had hit $1.50 3 months ago, I wouldn't believe you. It's been going sideways at about 50 cents for like, seems like years. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good on you to the XRP hodlers. You've done all right. Eventually. Gala. Yeah, okay. So some of the alts have started to run a little bit. FTM. The Phantom still got some interest. Interesting. Flows starting to get some interest as well. All right. Yeah, it looks like mini altcoin season is underway. I don't think this will be the main altcoin season, but interesting nonetheless. This is how I'm going to look at all these and just see who's run at what time and stuff, and how much they've run compared to Bitcoin and compared to their previous all-time highs and stuff. So I'm going to hopefully do that, Savo. All right. I think I'll leave it there. That's all I'm looking at today. Yeah. I'll catch you tomorrow, probably. See ya.